10 movies I love. The 1950s part 2. We're doing 2 for the 50s because it's my favorite decade of film, for talking pictures at least. And worldwide you had a lot of good genres. In Japan, as I mentioned in the last video, you had post-war dramas and westerns set in the East starring samurai rather than cowboys. In France, you had the French New Wave films. In Italy, you had some really good dramas. In America, TV had become really popular, and there was a TV in every household. So movie studios were getting really nervous and thinking that nobody would want to go see a movie anymore. For that reason, they really went out of their way to make really big productions. And for that reason, the biggest genres of film in the 50s were musicals, westerns, starring huge stars like Gary Cooper, John Wayne, and biblical epics. And the 50s certainly wasn't the only decade for biblical epics. In recent years, they've been trying to bring the genre back with movies like Noah. But in the 50s, that's when they really spent tons of money on them, and they made all that money back and then some, because they were huge at the box office. I mean, they were the equivalent of the Star Wars movies in the 50s in terms of hype and anticipation and all that. This movie was among the most anticipated of them all. Ben-Hur, the most famous but definitely not the only film adaptation of the 1880 Lew Wallace novel. There have been several adaptations, including a pretty recent one. But I think this is the best, although the 20s version I think is really good too. It won 11 Oscars, as you might know. And is it worth all those Oscars? You know, you can debate that all day, but I think it's worth many of them. Some I'd like to mention are the score. It definitely deserves that one. Miklos Rozsa, a Hungarian composer, composed it, and it's amazing. I mean, he spent a year on it, and you can tell, because, you know, if you like any of those big name composers like John Williams, who really captivate you emotionally all throughout a film with the music, that's definitely what Miklos does in this film. The acting, Charlton Heston is usually known for being, you know, really over the top, like in Planet of the Apes. Get your filthy paws off me, you know. But he's actually really good in this. Haya Hararit, she is an Israeli actress. She's really good in this film. And, you know, this is the 50s, a time of racial segregation. So for an Israeli actress to play a lead role as Esther was pretty innovative. And then there's Hugh Griffith, whose performance would be racist by today's standards. He's from the UK, but he's painted brown and plays a brown-skinned guy. So obviously that wouldn't fly today. But Haya's performance was definitely innovative for this time. Jack Hawkins, another big star during that time. Stephen Boyd, who plays Masala, Judah's enemy, throughout much of the film. He does a great job. And, you know, the story is really what sets it apart. I don't think it won Best Screenplay, but I wouldn't say the screenplay is, you know, I wouldn't say the screenplay is the best thing about it, but the story is so captivating, and I think it's told so well in this. You really get drawn into the human emotions, and a big factor in why that's done so well is William Wyler, who's a really good dramatic director. He made some of the best dramas of the 30s, 40s, 50s. Best Years of Our Lives is another great one of his. Mrs. Miniver. So that it's really that human connection and emotion that you feel in this movie that makes it so good. And the scenes with Jesus, they don't even show his face, but his performance is powerful nonetheless. I don't even remember the name of the actor that plays him, but it's really good. There's a scene where he stands up to this Roman guard, and you don't even see his facial expressions, but the Roman guard still backs off, and he's depicted as more powerful as he normally is in a lot of Jesus movies. He's kind of this grandfather type character, this really soft-spoken guy, but he really reveals some of the moments in the Gospels when Jesus stands up to people, you know. But like I said, he's central to this story, but not the central character. And you got to see the movie to know what I'm talking about. And we're over 5 minutes, so I'm going to end there.